Okay, everyone, this is Shiur number 2 in Simon Pei Zayin in Hilchos Basa V'Cholov. I'm going to start by reading just the Mechaber. The Ramah will do in the next Shiur. The Mechaber says about the Isser of Basa V'Cholov, Eino Noheg Elo Basa Behema Tahora, V'Cholov Behema Tahora. It requires that both the meat that's used comes from a species that is a Behema Tahora, right? Behema Tameya are those which are on the non-kosher species. Behema Tahora are from a kosher species. Could be an ox, could be a shor, could be a gedi, could be an aze, goats, lambs, or bulls. Bechalav behema tahora comes from the milk of a kosher animal as well. Basa tahora, bechalav tamea. You have kosher meat, but with a non-kosher milk that came from a pig or something of that nature. O basa tamea. Where you take animal that's a horse or a giraffe, let's say horse or horse or a pig, the meat from horse or a pig, b'chalav Torah with cow's milk, mutarem bebishul uvahana, they're mutar, bishul, and hana, okay, and the isra achila because they're asr b'achila because there is either treif milk or treif meat in it, but not because of basar chalav. Next halacha, he says, ubasar chaya v'of. Both basar chaya are wild, undomesticated animals like a deer, right? Or oaf, we know oaf means chicken or turkey. Afilu b'chalav tahora. So you have a kosher chicken and a kosher deer, and you cook them together with chalav from a kosher animal, from a goat, from a cow, etc. Mutter b'bishul v'ana, they're mutter to cook, and they're mutter b'ana midoraisa. V'af b'achila ino aser midorabanan. The achila is only aser midorabanan. Avol, they're also mutter midorabanan as well. We'll see in later on. Avol dagim v'chalgavim. What about fish or grasshoppers? There's a certain species of grasshoppers that are kosher. We don't have a Masorah exactly which one they are, therefore we don't eat any grasshoppers. There's certain Sephardic communities that believe they have the Masorah and therefore they have chagavim as well, grasshoppers. But what happens if you take fish, kosher fish, and kosher grasshoppers? Ein b'am isser afilu midrabanan, even midrabanan, you don't have any isser of cooking them with milk, basar chalav, and we'll see about that as well. So that was the Mechaber. Okay, we'll do the Shach and Taz a little bit later. I want to just review the two Mishnayos that we learned in Kol HaBasar in the 8th parak. Kol HaBasar asur levasher b'cholav, chutz mibasar dagim v'chalgavim. The last halacha we saw in Shulchan Aruch was that all meat is also to cook with milk, chutz mibasar dagim v'chalgavim, unless it's fish or grasshoppers. V'asur lahalos im hagavina ala shulchan, chutz mibasar dagim v'chalgavim. You can't put gavina, which is cheese, onto your table when you're eating fleishiks, except for the basar dagim v'chalgavim. Of course, you can have it on the table. We're going to talk more about that in the next shiur, I think in next week's shiur, about what you're allowed to put on the table and what you're not, and how do you avoid the problems. And the last thing in the Mishnah, now on the top of Kuf Daled Amud Aleph, is hanodir min habasar mutar b'basar dagim v'chalgavim. One who says that I'm taking a neder not to eat any meat, he's still allowed to eat what's called meat of fish meat, and grasshopper meat. Rashi says, even though the Torah says the word gedi, hu hadin l'chaya v'of. This is the same halacha when it comes to whether it's a chaya or an oaf. Umiflig pligi bo l'kamon. There's an argument later on in the Mishnah we're going to see now in Kuf Yud Gimel. Ikalaman domer doraisa. Some say they're doraisa, and ikalaman domer dorabanan. Some say this isser is only midurabanan by chaya and oaf, and that's machlokes Tanakama, Rabbi Kiva, and Rabbi Yosef Glili, which we'll see. Rashi continues, v'asur lahalos. It's forbidden to put on the table cheese or dairy products. You might eat them together. Because they touch each other and they absorb one from the other. Even though you're allowed to eat meat after cheese, you still shouldn't put on the table together. Again, we'll talk more about that next week's shiur. And then Rashi says on the top of Kuf Daled Amud Aleph, hanoder min habasar, When you make a neder that I'm not going to do something, you follow generally what the norm is according to people's languages. Shehu korei shem hadover kach. This is what it's called. The Ashmi'inon Masnis, and our Mishnah is teaching us a chiddush. The cholmin basar, what is a person? Korehu basar. Every type of meat is called basar by Adam, by human beings. We might call it the meat of the fish, but it's not. We don't call it meat if it's grasshoppers or if it is fish. That's the Mishnah on Kuf Gimel. Now turning to the Gemara, the Mishnah on Kuf Yud Gimel. Seemingly three-way machlokes between Tanakama, Rabbi Akiva, and Rabbi Shaglili. And the Rishonim, they argue exactly what the Shitas Tanakama really is. And we'll see that now and in the Tosfos here. Says the last Mishnah on Kuf Yud Gimel Amud Aleph. Basar behemoth Torah b'chalav behemoth Torah asur. Kosher meat, kosher milk, asur to cook together. Levashil, v'asur ba'ano. Right? Of course, it's asur b'achila as well. That's the asur basar chalav. But basar behemoth Torah b'chalav behemoth tameya. You have treif meat, or basar behemoth tameya b'chalav behemoth Torah. Now the milk is kosher, but the meat is treif. The first one was where the meat was kosher, the milk was treif. Here's where the meat's kosher, the meat's treif, but the milk is kosher. Mutar levashel, mutar b'hano. You're allowed to cook it, and it's mutar b'hano. Rabbi Akiva says, Chayav ha'of eina min ha'Torah. The Isser of Basar Chalav min ha'Torah does not include Chayav ha'of. Why? Shneimar lo svashel gedi b'chalei vimo. It says you should not cook the gedi, the goat in its mother's milk. Shalosh pamim gimel 3 times, and each time excludes one thing. Prat, to exclude Chaya. One time it says lo svashel gedi b'chalei vimo, to exclude deer or wild animals, right? Ula of, fowl. Ubehemoth Tamea are also excluded. They're not in the Isser Midoraisa of Basar B'chalav. What's the Lachem Dorbanim? We'll have to see. Rav Yosef Glili Omer. Rav Yosef Glili says the following. I know that a Behemoth Tamea is not considered Basar B'chalav Midoraisa because one of those 3 psukim, Lo Savashel Gedi B'chalei Vimo, the one in Devarim, Parak Yudalet Pasuk Chaf Aleph, starts out Lo sochlu kol nevela. You shouldn't eat any nevela. La ger asher b'sharecha titnena. Give it to the ger, not the Jew, but the ger der toshav. Va'achela o mochol nachri. I'll sell it to the guy. Ki am kadosh ato l'Hashem Elokecha lo svashel gedi b'chalei mimo. So Rav Yosef Glili in the Mishnah says, Nemar lo sochlu kol nevela. The pasuk says you shouldn't eat all nevela. The beginning of that pasuk in Devarim. The Nemar lo savashel gedi b'chalei vimo. In the same pasuk it says you shouldn't cook meat and milk together. Yochlei asel vashel b'chalav. I might think that it would be aser to cook even nevela. Nevela is representative of an animal which is prohibited to consume, which is like the treif animals, right? I would think that it should be aser to cook the chalev in milk. Talmud Lomar b'chalev imo. What does chalev imo teach us? Yatsa ov she'ein lo chalev aim. Okay. I'm sorry. I apologize. I skipped. Rav Yosef Glili Omer. Nemer lo sochel kol nevela. Nemer lo tzvasho gedi b'chalev imo. Es she'aser mishum nevela. That which is aser from nevela. Aser levasher b'chalav. You're not allowed to cook in milk. Behema tameya, which is not aser nevela. It's treif. What are the things that are aser mishum nevela? So what I said before, nevela is treif stuff. Let's just read. Nevela is a kosher species of animal that has been shechted incorrectly or killed without shechting at all. It becomes a nevela. It's not a species of treif animals like a horse. Okay? So what things? Esha asur mishum nevela, those things which can become nevelos, like behema tahora, like a cow, like a lamb, or like a sheep. If you don't shecht it properly, they become nevela. Those are the things that Torah refers to that you are prohibited to cook with milk. Of sha'asur mishum nevela, I might think let's include of also. If you don't shecht the chicken properly, you just cut its head off or you knock it dead, it becomes nevela. So I would think also, I would think that you should also include that in the things that you're a chayav of basar b'cholav midoraisa when you cook the chicken in milk. Tamalor b'chalevi mo. Why does the Torah say not just you shouldn't cook it b'chalav in milk? Why does it say chalavi mo? Yotza of she'ein lo chalavi mo, to exclude the oaf that does not have any milk. Chickens and turkeys don't have any milk, and therefore they are excluded from that issur. So this is a machlokes, seemingly a three-way machlokes, Tanakama, Rabbi Akiva, and Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Yossi Aglili, exactly what are the parameters of basar b'cholav? Does it apply? And even if it does apply midoraisa, midrabanan, and what the sources of it is. Says the Tosfos, basar behema tahora, it's the last Tosfos on the daf, basar behema tahora b'cholav behema tahora, that's what the issur is. Hu adin basar of l'rabanan, according to the Rabbanan, not rabbinic law. The Rabbanan in our Mishnah, the Tanakama in our Mishnah, right? Basar oaf, the Asr min Torah. The Tosfos Shita is that the Rabbanan Asr basar oaf min Torah. Unlike Rav Yossi Aglili, and unlike the halacha that we know. Okay? That's what Tosfos says. The Dafka Rabbi Akiva hu da Amar, Chayav oaf ein min Torah. Specifically, Rabbi Akiva has an exclusion from the three psukim, lo sashagdimio, 3 times. One excludes behema tameya, one excludes oaf, and one excludes chaya. So v'nafgalon midadarsh lekaman as she'asr mishum nevela as levashlo b'cholav, and the Rabbanon would follow. Not Rabbi Akiva's opinion, but would follow the source of Rabbi Yossi Aglili and say that thing which can become an avela, like basar oaf, if you don't check it properly, the chicken becomes an avela. That is what the Torah says you're not allowed to cook, and he includes the issur of cooking basar v'chalav midoraisa, even basar oaf. So it comes out like this: that Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yossi Aglili agree by basar oaf and by chaya. Right? That it's not asur midoraisa. The Rabbanan, according to the way Tosfos is learning, the Rabbanan hold that basar oaf you can be chayav midoraisa for basar b'cholav. Okay, very good. So far, so good. All right. Let's have a discussion about that machlokes. Okay. All right, so to review, Rabbi Akiva says that basar chaya and basar oaf are not asur to cook with milk. Midoraisa, as it says, do not cook a kid in its mother's milk. Rav Yossi Aglili says, the pasuk says, do not eat nevela. Therefore, v'lo sfashagadi b'chalei mo. So the pasuk teaches us the only things that are issur nevela have an issur of basar b'chalav, which would mean chaya and behema. Even though oaf has an issur nevela, when it says chalevi mo, it excludes oaf because the oaf doesn't give milk. And like I said, there's a machlokes what the Rabbanan holds. So Tosfos says that according to the Rabbanan, it's asur to cook chicken in milk midoraisa. The rush, I don't know exactly where the siman in the rush is. In fact, I wanted to make mention to you, I wanted to read it inside. There is, if you look back in Shulchan Aruch, on page Kuf Pei Tes, I sent you the Tzuras Hadaf, that on HebrewBooks.com. So Kuf Pei Tes, you'll see this is the Mechaber. There's going to be a little, I think, hay that's going to take you to the Be'er Hagola. The Be'er Hagola was written by Rav Moshe Ravkush. I didn't know that. I looked it up from Vilna. The Be'er Hagola tells you the source of these halachos. And the Be'er Hagola quotes in the little hay that goes on the Mechaber that says about basar chayiv and oaf. It says on top there, Sham. It's there in the Gemara in Chulin. Uki Rabbi Akiva, and it follows Rabbi Akiva's opinion, right? This is the Rush, B'Shem the Rif, the Rush in the name of the Rif, and the Rambam Perek Tes Mei Hilchos Machalos Asuros. So what did the Rush do? The Rush had this problem. It says like this: the Rif preceded the Rush by 100-200 years, by a few hundred years. The Rif paskins like Rabbi Akiva. How could you paskin like Rabbi Akiva against the Rabbanan? The halach is like this: if Rabbi Akiva argues with one other individual, the halacha is always like Rabbi Akiva. Halacha ki Rabbi Akiva mechaveiro. Against one-on-one, you follow Rabbi Akiva. Okay, he's one of the Talmidim of the Shiur Bar Yochai, right? I believe, yes, and therefore you follow Rabbi Akiva. What about the if it's Rabbi Akiva mechave Rav? If there are at least two or more people arguing with Rabbi Akiva, you can't follow Rabbi Akiva. You follow the majority. So the Rabbanan are arguing with, if the Rabbanan are arguing with Rabbi Akiva, how could the Rif paskin like Rabbi Akiva? So the Rosh holds that since the Rif paskins like Rabbi Akiva, we must say that Rabbi Akiva is explaining the Rabbanan, unlike Tosfos, right? And therefore, the halacha is following Rabbi Akiva that basar chayav of are mutter bebishul uveha noah. According to Rabbi Yossi Aglili, it is not mutter be the nevela. I'm sorry, the chaya is not mutter bebasar bechalav. I'm going to send you maybe a picture of a diagram that the Art Scroll has in the Hebrew version that I have here of the machlokas. Fine. Okay. Now going to the Gemara and Kuf Tez Zayin Amid Aleph. I'm going to just learn it outside, and I'm sure you learned it inside. The Gemara brings two possible arguments between Rabbi Yossi Aglili and Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva holds that basar chaya and milk are asim midrabanan, because the Torah, and the Mechaber says that, because the Torah is only talking about behemoths. Okay? Rabbi Yossi Aglili holds that basar chaya and milk are asim midoraisa, because a chaya gives milk. Okay? The giving of milk species excludes the chicken, according to Rabbi Yossi Aglili, does not exclude the chaya, the deer, for example. Again, Rabbi Akiva says the deer is excluded just like basar oaf, and that's how we paskin. Rabbi Akiva holds that the oaf and the milk are asim midrabanan. Yossi Aglili holds the oaf and the milk are mutter even midrabanan. Okay? Because it says, B'chalev imo, the chicken doesn't have any milk. The Gemara then brings a story to prove the second argument of the machlokas by oaf. So the Gemara tells us a story. Levi came to the house of Yossi, the bird trapper, and he was served the head of a peacock cooked in milk. So Levi didn't say anything. Levi was a chashuv mensch, he didn't say anything. When Levi came back to Yehuda Nasi, to Rebbe, and he told him the story, Rebbe asked him, why did you not protest and excommunicate Yosef for serving oaf with milk? So Levi answered that Yosef lived in the city of Yehuda ben Beseira. It was an unbelievable one of the Gedolim. And it could be that Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira learns like Rabbi Yossi Aglili, who holds that it's permitted to eat chicken cooked in milk, even midrabanan. Okay, the Tur and most Rishonim paskin like Rabbi Akiva. And in our Shiur on Thursday, I'm going to deal with the Tur. There's the Beis Yosef and the Bach, and we're going to extend this to the whole discussion of Chanan, Chatichanas Nevela, by Bas V'Chala, by Shari Surim, and more. Okay, now we're going to deal with Chelev and Nevela. Chelev are the forbidden fats. There's Shuman, which is the Hebrew word for fats. Those are the permitted fats. And Chelev are specific fats. They look exactly the same, but it depends where they are in the behema that are forbidden. And the person who does nikur, who extracts the giranosha and all the other parts of the behema, of the cow, that should not be eaten, he takes out the chelev as well. So there's a dogel meravava. Dogel meravava, I sent you in the chat on the bottom of Daf Kuf Peites in the Mechaber. Again, I showed you it's down here, starts to the right, to the left of the Pischei Tshuva. The Dogel meravava says the following: B'chalav min Torah, right? This is talking about, he's bringing the Rambam in Hilchos Macholos Asuros Perek Tes, that if you cook chelev or nevela with kosher milk or vice versa, there's no iser achila because of basar v'chalav. It's aser because of chelev. So he says like this: Min haTorah v'lo kal bishulo, avol ba'achila ein bo iser. It's prohibited to cook chelev. He says, I'm sorry, let me try one line earlier. Okay. He quotes the Mechaber, O basar tamea b'chalav tahora. Basar behema in chalav tahora is not asim midoraisa. So says the Dogel Meravava, ubasar nevela, v'chein chelev, the forbidden fats, Asur levashel b'cholov. You're not allowed to cook them in milk. Minatora. Velokal bishula. That isser of cooking nevela. So you have an animal that was not shechted properly, and now it's a nevela. It's a cow that's a nevela, or it's the chelev, the forbidden fats in the animal, and you're cooking that with milk. Okay, it's in the kosher species and it's kosher milk, so you're usher to be mevashel them midoraisa. Avol bachila in bo isser basar v'cholav. If you ate it, you wouldn't be transgressing the isser of eating basar v'cholav, right? But you would be usher because you're eating chelev. V'chol ze mevuar b'Rambam perek tes mi machol sasur tzal chazayin. V'omnam mu usher ba'no ein mevuar b'divrei Rambam. So clearly the Rambam paskins that it's usher to be mavashel, but the isser achila is only an isser of treif, of chelev, not an isser of basar cholav. But nowhere do we know if it's usher ba'no or not in the Rambam. Avol b'perish hamishnayos b'mesechtes krisis perek shlishi b'mishnah yesh ochel achila achas. That's the name of the Mishnah in the third perek of krisis. The Rambam in his Perish Mishnayos explains mevur sham b'divrei Rambam she'eno usher ba'no. Ayin sham. You're not allowed to cook it together, but it's not asur ba'no. So what happens if it was cooked together? But the evid you're allowed. But the evid was it's asur. The isser happened, or if a guy cooked it, right? You would be allowed to sell it. B'nekuda hanifla shabir sham. Look there in the kuda hanifla how wondrous the point that the Rambam explains there. The afshel divrei atosus seftzos chulin on daf kuf aleph amid aleph. Der maskal isser kolel shekosser she isser ano lo mikri isser mosif. Okay, I'm not going to go into that right this second. Okay, so let's review the Dagel Merivava. So Dagel Merivava quotes the Rambam that says that chelev, the forbidden fats, or nevela, which is a tahor animal that was not slaughtered properly, if you cook it with kosher milk or vice versa, there is no isser achila because of basar v'cholav, but of course it's usher to eat because it's non-kosher chelev, or it's a nevela. This is due to the fact that we hold ein isser chal al isser. One isser cannot fall onto another isser. One prohibition can't be piled on top of another prohibition. That is, this piece of meat is prohibited because it's non-kosher, because it was slaughtered improperly. Therefore, prohibition of basar v'cholav can't be placed on this item. You can't have a second isser. However, there will still be a prohibition to cook this non-kosher meat with milk, since the above-mentioned isser doesn't apply. There's no pre-existing, it's nevela. There's no pre-existing isser of cooking on it. There's no you can cook a non-kosher. Let's say the meat became nevela because it got slaughtered improperly. You're allowed to take and cook it in a pot, trace up the pot, and give it to a guy. Serve it to the crew or serve it to your goyish staff. There's no isser in cooking nevela animal. So therefore, it had no existing isser. But now to cook it with milk, you would not be allowed. It does not apply, right? Fine. Meaning, it does apply. It doesn't meaning what? That since there wasn't an existing isser of bishul, because you're allowed to cook this nevela piece of meat on its own. Therefore, you're not allowed to cook meat, kosher meat, even though it became an nevela, with kosher milk, because that is the isser doraisa of basar v'cholav. Okay, is there an isser hana deriving benefit on this non-kosher meat like chelev or nevela? Both come from a tar animal, right? But are usser. So is it usser ba'ano or not? So the Dagel Merivava tells us, according to the Rambam, there is not. And the Rambam tells us this nekuda nifla that the Dagel Merivava explains in the Rambam that the isser hana by basar v'cholav is an extension of the isser achila. We mentioned this last time. Therefore, if there's no isser achila, there will not be an isser hana. Why is there no isser achila? Because ain't isser achila chal on the isser of that you are not allowed to cook the nevela in kosher milk, right? You're not allowed to cook kosher nevela in kosher milk, kosher nevela with kosher milk. There's an isser bishul. Now you can't throw on the isser achila on top of that as well. So the Dagel Merivava says that in a case, so therefore, if there's no isser achila, there is still, meaning there's no isser achila mitzad basar v'cholav. There's isser achila mitzad that it is an avela. You're not allowed to eat an avela, but there's no isser of basar v'cholav here, right? So if somebody did eat it, they're only over one Isser of Nevela, not the Isser of Basar Chalav. So therefore, since there's no Isser Achila, the Rambam holds there will not be an Isser of Hana. And the Dagam of Arva says that in case of Hefsid, a loss of money, one can rely on the Rambam, which means you could sell it and rely on the Rambam to be able to sell it and not lose if it's a large amount of meat. There are those who disagree with the Dagam of Arva, and this dispute has ramifications for, let's say, like pet food, right? Certain pet foods have a mixture of milk and non-kosher meat, right? Meaning even if they use chicken or beef, right? It's not chicken or beef that was shechted properly, it's nevela. So according to the Dagam of Arva, you can use this pet food if there's a loss of money, since it does not have an Isser Hana according to the Rambam. Whereas according to the other opinions, there's a Prima Godim, and here on the site in the Chassam Sofer and Yordea Siman Tzadi Beis, this mixture is still subject to the Isser Hana of Basar B'chalav. And I think when you do Siman Tzadi Beis, we're going to talk more about that Isser by pet food. Another fascinating thing, buffalo, right? Midoraisa, the laws of Basar B'chalav only apply to behema, not to a chaya, right? So, if the chaya is the deer, let's say, right? If you cook meat, right, basar v'chalav isser, it's only midrabanan to cook it together. So, according to the Ramah, right, a buffalo is a suffix behema, suffix chaya. We don't know if it's a behema or a chaya. This is the Ramah in Yoredei Simin Chav Ches Sif Daled. Some people associate it with the koi, which is in the Gemara, in Brachas, koi, etc. So he holds, the Ramah holds that buffalo, since it's a suffix, whether it's behema or a chaya, therefore to cook it with milk, it is usher because we are machmir by a suffix doraisa. You have a suffix doraisa l'chumra, there's a suffix in whether this is behema and also in raisa or not. According to the Mechaber, it would seem that a buffalo has a din of a behema, and I have to speak to my... then it would be completely usher, right? It wouldn't be al chumra. The Mechaber holds it's a behema. The buffalo is a behema. It's like a shore, like an ox, like a cow, and therefore it has all the yisurim of basar behema of basar v'chalav. Okay. Last is I'd like to discuss milk and fish. Okay, let's read the Taz and the Shach in the end. Now there's a long Taz and long Shach. Taz and Sifkat and Beis, and Shach and Sifkat and Dalid and Hey, which we're going to do during a Dalid, Sifkat and Dalid, Gimel and Dalid probably, and we're going to do that in Mirza Hashem on Thursday during our Shiur. Okay, says the Taz. At the end of the halacha of the Mechabal, I'll repeat that. Avol dogim uvachagavim ein bem yisur afilu midrabanan. Dogim chagavim don't have an isur even midrabanan of basar v'chalav. Says the Taz on the top. It's page 378, Kuf Peites Amid Beis in the Tzuras Hadas of the regular Shulchan Aruch. Avol dogim, says the Taz, the Beis Yosef Kasuv, quote, you shouldn't eat cheese with milk, with fish, because of sakana. Okay? What's the sakana of by fish and meat? We say the sakana is tzaras, right? We're going to see in the Orach Chaim in a minute what the extension of this. But the Beis Yosef says you shouldn't eat dugim with chalav, and says the Taz v'hutal sofrim. It's an incorrect printing. The Tzarech Lomar, really, the Beis Yosef, what was written in the Beis Yosef was the following: you shouldn't eat dugim im basar kimuzkar be'orach chaim simin kufayin gimel, which we're going to read in a minute. Meaning there was a mistake of instead of the word basar, im basar, dugim im basar, meat and fish, which you know is asur mishum sakana. Somebody wrote the word chalav there. V'chein kasav Darkei Moshe. Darkei Moshe is the Ramah's writings on the tour. Shenis arev la Beis Yosef. And he also says the Beis Yosef was mixed up. Not the Beis Yosef himself was mixed up, but in the writing of the Beis Yosef it got mixed up. Right? Shenis arev la Yosef kan basar v'chalav uvelavush hetik Moshe hu beBeis Yosef ein anachon. The lavush, who I told you the other day, was part of that triple header the Mechaber, Ramah, and the Lavush wrote their pshat in at the same at their halacha Shulchan Aruchs at the same time. The Lavush writes it just like the Beis Yosef, that it is usher, that it's you shouldn't eat fish with chalav. Okay, let's look at the shach. The shach and Sifkat and Hay is on the same page on the right column. Kosav ater zov zelashona. Umikomakam ein lechol dogim b'chalav imnei asakana koach yitzbor chaim simin kufayin gimel ad kan lashona. Ubeemes nimshach achar Beis Yosef. The ater zov is following Beis Yosef that says there's an isser to eat dogim, fish, with milk. Shekosov came. Avoltos, it's a mistake. Kilo niskar sham. The Taz quotes the Beis Yosef. Beis Yosef never quoted the Shulchan Aruch in Orach Chaim. Okay? But the Ater Zov, another commentary, wrote like the Beis Yosef, Dogim and Cholav are Aser, and quotes the Shulchan Aruch in Orach Chaim. And that's why I wanted you to see it there, because the Shach says, Avohu Tos, the whole thing's a mistake. Kilo Nizkar Sham, in Orach Chaim, there's no mention at all, Elo de Dogim, in Basar Aser. Mishum Sakana, all you hear there in Orach Chaim, we'll read in a minute, is that it's Aser to eat fish with meat, but not with Avo B'chalav Lo Shemanu. With milk, we don't hear such a thing. Lo Shemanu V'lo Rini, we never heard it, never saw it. V'chol Yom V'yom Hagin Chachi Levashel Dogim B'chalav V'lechol. We see every day people, what they do is they eat milk or cheese with fish. It's Ma'aseh B'chol Yom. Gam B'Darkei Moshe. Hisig al Beis Yosef, the Ramah in his Sefer Darkei Moshe on the Torah also challenges the Beis Yosef. Bazeh Chem B'Sefer Be'er Sheva Daf Kuf Ushor Achronim Esigu Olav. Other Rishonim, Achronim argue with the Beis Yosef's language. V'gam B'Shas, I have a proof, says the Shach, from the Gemara on I think it's Daf Ayin Vavam and Beis. Mashma Hedya Delespe Afilu Mishum Sakana. When Dog and Chalav, it doesn't even have any meaning of Sakana. Ayin Sham V'hu Pashid. He brings a raya from Orach Chaim, and he brings a raya from the Gemara as well. Okay, so between meat and fish, there's an obligation to wash one's hands, because the combination brings about a disease. Let's look at the Orach Chaim inside. Says the Mechaber there. This is in Simin Kufayin Gimel Dim Maim and Saim. Halacha Beis. Simin Kufayin Gimel 173, and the Mechaber and Ramah there. Bein basal dogim chovalito. Between you eating meat and fish, you should wash your hands. Shum de kashel davar acher, because it's kashel davar acher. It could come about something davar acher, something very bad. V'chamira sakanta meisura, and a sakana is worse than an iser. Okay. V'ayin Yoredea Simin Kuf Tezayin, says the Ramah. Look in Simin Kuf Tezayin in Yoredea, where they hold that discussion of fish and of basar and cholav, etc. Says the Mishnah Berurah, L'davar acher. What are you worried about? Tzoras. Okay, basar and cholav on this. Basar and dogim together. Basar and dogim together. That's where we don't eat it together on the same plate. We don't cook it together. We don't eat it together. We're fearful for davar acher, which is tzoras. V'ayin b'magen Avram. Look at the Magen Avram here in Kufayin Gimel. Shekasav de efsher bizmanenu ein sakana kolkach. Maybe nowadays there's no tzoras. There's no such sakana. The bekama devarim nishtanu hatvayim. Because in many things the nature has changed. I actually had a conservative rabbi who's very involved in kashrus, in the conservative movement, and he was a good friend of mine. I actually just reconnected with him a year ago, and hadn't seen him in 20 years. And I was in charge of the ORB, the local hashgacha here in Brown and Palm Beach counties, and he called me up once and he says, why is there still this problem of eating fish and cooking fish and meat together? It was because of tzaras, he knew, right? He learned. And no, there's no longer tzaras. So I told him, don't worry, there are other reasons, etc. I didn't have a good answer for him. I just thought he was a conservative rabbi trying to negate the rabbinic halacha. Turns out later on, I found this Magen Avram. The Magen Avram has the same kasha as this conservative rabbi, right? And the Magen Avram says maybe things have changed. I didn't call him up and tell him he was mechavin to the Magen Avram. I didn't want to be mechazik his trying to loosen the control on halacha. But Lamaisa, I wanted to look in and see what's the answer to the Magen Avram. So that's exactly what the Mechaber says. Chamira sakanta meisura. When the Gemara and others say that something is usher because of sakana, of the danger to your health, or mystically, Kabbalistic, whatever it might be, Isser has maybe a reason for it. Maybe if it doesn't apply anymore, maybe the Isser might not apply. There are very few situations like that. But sakana, we have no idea what it is. So ras is one of the things. Mishum sakana, the whether it's the Zohar or others who said that the reason of cooking fish and meat together, or eating fish and meat together, is a problem, mishum sakana, there could be multiple reasons. Even if the ras reason maybe no longer exists, but still the other reasons could exist. I sent you a copy of the Dirshu Mishnah Brura notes, and I'm going to read them. One is on the word the davar acher. Says the Dirshu here on Os 3, note 3. What about the idea of putting fish and meat on the same table? Just a moment ago we talked about the Shach, and others said about you're not allowed to you shouldn't put fish and you shouldn't put dairy and meat together on the same table. What about fish and meat on the table? You can't eat it together. Can you put it on the table together? Some people are very makbid. Take the fish off, the gefilte fish off before you bring any of the meat on. The Kaf HaChaim says she'ein zeh chomer k'mo halos basar v'cholav al shulchan echad. That's not as serious like putting basar and cholav on the same table, and therefore it's mutter for two different people to eat on the same table. Echad zeh basar v'zeh dagim. The two people can't eat on the same table, one milk and one meat, unless there's some type of separation or a heker. Somewhere else in Yoredeya, Kosav, the Kavachaim did say, Shenir yesh lahachmir, you should be machmir, there should be a hefsek laheker b'neim, even between fish and meat. Ulagali odom asoy levado, somebody who eats alone. Kosav Kavachaim, Sheroi lahachmir, you should be machmir. Shlo yala al shulchan basar dagim yachad, you shouldn't have meat and fish on the same table together. You might grab them and eat them at the same time. You might eat them at the, maybe not at the same time, but one after the other without washing your hands or without washing out your mouth, which we'll see is what you're supposed to do. Kasav Shinogu Shevet Levi is, I believe it's Rav Vosner. Kasav Shinogu lahakel lahalos dagim al shulchan sheyesh lo basar. People are knowing you can put on the same table. Take off the gefilte fish, the sushi, the herring before you bring out the regular deli and the meat. Next, what about the Magen Avram's idea of tzoras? So says the notes again in Dirshu. What happens if nisarev rotav shel dagim rotav shel basar? You have fish juice and fish and meat gravy mixed together. Okay. Dono aposkim imol shir shishim kedei levatos hamiyot. Can you use 60 to be mavato? Okay. And the Shevet HaLevi writes in the Shalos Tshuva she'ikar la'alochahu kedas asovrim shemol shishim. Shishim should be fine. We say that it's fine by davar aser, so you could use bittul of shishim there also. Uvemakam hefsid umenias kvod Shabbos, in a place where there's going to be a great deal of loss, large big roast worth 40, 60, $80. Umenias kvod Shabbos, or a situation where you won't be able to eat and won't meat for Shabbos, etc. Kosvu b'shalos shuvos divrei malkiel, and the shalos and shuvos Shevet HaLevi. Sheishahakel ap b'makam sheyesh safek im yesh shishim barov keneged hamiyot. Even when you're in doubt whether there's 60 of, let's say, the gravy of the meat, if there would be 60 times the amount of drops of fish brine that fell in, you could be makel if it's for the sake of not losing a larger amount of money, $50, $100 worth of meat, or if it's in menias preventing you from kavod Shabbos. Since the Rif and the Rambam never put this halacha there, so so maybe it's mutter. Mishum shemagn Avram Chassam Sofer wrote that bismaneinu nishtanu ateva. Both the Magen Avram and the Chassam Sofer wrote, as we saw here in the Mishnah Brura, that there's the teva has changed. Vein sakana bedover. Maybe there's no sakana. They declare maybe there's no sakana, so you could be makil where it's hefsid meruba and it's menias kavod Shabbos. The Divrei Malkiel adds, even in a case shenafla chatichas basar letav shel dagim, a piece of meat fell into a cooking fish pot. You don't have 60 times against it. You could be makel, and you could rely shelo kol hatam yotza mimenu. Not all the tam of the fish came out of it. V'shatam sheyotza batel b'shishim. Whatever came out, you take the fish out. You take the basar out of that pot, and we're gonna be makel and say, right? It's a chumrah to say that once you take the piece of meat out, the tam that was in it is the size of the entire piece of meat. For sure, it isn't. It's only part of that meat tam, part of that meat, its flavor remains. And therefore, in this case, you could be makel. One last idea before we end. What happens if, by mistake, meat and fish were cooked together? It's also to eat it. But what about that pot? And you didn't have shishim of one of either the meat or of the fish. Keneged the min acher. Kosav shevid levi. Shetzarach lagilo. You have to kasher it in hagolah. Kedivrei Tiferes l'shlomo amuva pischei tshuva b'shelo, and against the words of the Divrei Malkiel, who says that it's enough shadai sheyisha esakli meis leis hachivkem hatam. You don't have to kasher it. You can leave it 24 hours. It's no sin tam lifgam. Even though normally something becomes treif, and you leave it for 24 hours. If you cook b'diavad with it, you might be able, the food might be good. But you're lechatchila, you have to kasher it, even if it's a week or a month later when it got treifed up. That's in regular basar chalav or treif. But here you could be makel by the basar and the fish. Achlinin klicheres, but that which is not kasherable, right? You can't do hagala, you can't kasher earthenware. Hevi shebesefer misher shalom hekel bozeh. He says no. He says ach, not af. He says even by klicheres, which would be by, let's say, like a crock pot, which can't be kashered. It's not metal. There are those who say you could be makel and wait 24 hours, no sin tam lifgam. The tam that was in it is now pogum. It's nullified because it is not good tam, and therefore you don't have to kasher it. You can't kasher it, and it would be able to use that crock pot again. That you have to ask your individual posek how that works. Okay, halacha l'maisa in terms of the issue. If one wants to be machmir about fish and milk, there are those who say you could be machmir. Fish and butter or fish and cheese, like a tuna casserole, for example, is mutter lechatchila. Milk is what the shaila is, so butter or cheese would be fine, according to everyone. But their svardim are machmir because there's a kafachayim that permits butter with fish and not cheese. And the Yalkut Yosef says that this is the halacha. So there are many svardim follow the Yalkut Yosef who would be machmir about cheese and fish and only be matir by butter. Okay, I'll send you review questions, and we'll have Shiur on Thursday. And the Shiur on Thursday will go through the Turbach and Beis Yosef, Legabe, Basar, Behema, and milk. Have a wonderful week.